right, guys, welcome to episode number 26 of the KFO Show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. If you love kayak fishing, love fishing in general, guys, you're in the right place tonight. I got Brian Slayton, the creek crawler, with us tonight, and he has been absolutely slaying the smallies. And he just showed me a picture in the green room of a bass he caught on the way home from work. Giant. So I am absolutely pumped to have him on. He's going to lay some knowledge down for us. But before we get there, I got a few updates and announcements. Guys, remember, if you're watching this on the podcast or on a replay or even right now, anybody who signs up to be a channel member, and I kind of go the extra mile for my channel members. I have final decals, loyalty badges, early access to content, kind of like my inner circle of guys. They're all guys right now, who I go to when I have questions about things. And so if anybody signs up channel member, I will send a $10 gift card from castcray.com. So Rick, thank you for putting that up for me. Tonight's sponsor of the show is myself. I'm really pushing the Knuklhed bass fishing series right now. You guys have been hearing about it for quite a bit of time, but it started 2 days ago. And I checked a moment ago. There's no bass up on the board yet, but it's not too surprising. It's been nothing but like 35-degree weather and raining from around up here. But if you're not familiar with it, you could be a part of this tournament anywhere in the United States. And so for $15, you can head over to Fishing Chaos, sign up to be a part of Team Wendell, and it's for 1 month's tournaments. And if you win one of the tournaments, you win a spot on my team, and we're going to be heading down to Lake Gunnersville on Veterans Day weekend and fishing off against a smorgasbord of other teams. We're going to be fishing off against Chad Hoover, Fluke Master, Rudd. You got the aggressively average anglers, Fishing with Gramps, and you got Larry Melton Jr. Oh my goodness, it keeps on growing. So this is going to be an incredible, awesome opportunity. Would love for you to be on Team Wendell. And so go check that out. Also, if you enter just by signing up, you're going to be putting into a drawing for $100 Cast Cray gift card. And so I believe I have 34 signed up right now, which is pretty good. I'm kind of pumped about that. And so one of the 34 not only win a spot on my team, but also one of you win a $100 Cast Cray gift card. All right. Well, remember, this is an interactive show. And so let's welcome the creek crawler, my man, 237 videos, coming up on 1 million views. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on tonight. Super stoked to get into the conversation.
Yeah. Well, first, show everybody what you showed me. You're like, oh, you did nonchalantly. Hey, check out what I caught on the way home from work. What? Check this out, guys.
Yeah, I was driving home, it was 45 degrees, little rain, and there's a little spillway that I always hit usually on the way home from work, and I just caught that stud.
Chunker.
Caught that one in like 3 casts, and I was like, okay, I'll go home.
Yeah, gotta go. I'm good. Not beating that today. You've been putting up some serious fish.
I appreciate it, man.
Recently, and I've been looking at your Instagram, which seems like you kind of more focus on, and of course, YouTube channel. The reason I have you on my show actually is because one of the listeners he's a low life angler. He was like, you need to have the creek crawler on your show. I love that guy. So I was like, hey, you know what? I can do that. And so here you are. Tell us your story, your YouTube journey. You've been doing it for a while, and I'd love to hear kind of how it all transpired.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like most folks that fish, I started super young. Not most folks, I guess everyone starts when they get started, but I started super young fishing these little ditches and creeks behind my houses growing up, and just got into chasing little creek chubs and catching bait for my father and his friends so they can go out and catch catfish at night at pay lakes or whatnot. But that's kind of where my passion grew, and I fell in love with the creeks. I fell in love with the mystery of these places and the meandering of creeks and streams and rivers. I've just fell in love with it, and I've always been on the banks, wade fishing, pretty much been a bank angler my entire life, except these past, I got my kayak just last year. I've had a kayak for a couple years now, but I've really got into the kayak scene these past couple years, and it's just transpired into something that's simply amazing. kayak fishing gets you to those places that, you know, off the beaten path, you can float those long stretches of river in one day instead of hitting it chunk by chunk from the bank and trying to get permission. Now all of a sudden you can just hit them in one day, and it's changed everything for me. And about my YouTube journey here, I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
I got out of the Navy in 2017, and I went to school down here in Hocking College in Southeast Ohio, and fell in love with the Hocking River, and
Mm,
still had the passion for all my fishing endeavors. I even fished a lot when I was overseas and caught fish in pretty much every country I visited. Um, but I was like, you know what? I'm so passionate about the creeks and these little rivers and places, your average person just drives over on their way
yeah.
to work, right? Just like what I did today. I drove over something that a lot of people fish it, but you wouldn't expect that kind of fish to be in those waters. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to make a channel that really, highlights these areas and hopefully, hook somebody into a journey of their own of just exploring creeks around their house because it's easy access for everyone. So
Yeah.
that's basically the premise of why I created my channel, and it's growing pretty good. I think I'm at a little over 7,000 subscribers now, and got a ton of videos on there, and it's slowly growing. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. That's awesome. Is it something that you want to do eventually? Like, would it be like the dream to do it full time? Is that on
Absolutely,
aspiration of yours?
absolutely.
All right.
I tell my wife a lot, that this is a dream, it'd be awesome just to make content, make videos that people can learn from, and just be a steward for the natural resources that we have, and
Mm,
it's a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work, as you know, and everybody in the industry knows making videos. There's a lot of work to it, but if you really commit yourself and your resources to it, you can grow a channel, and you can grow it now. And a lot of people think that if you haven't already been in the game for a while, there's no chance to grow. And I've only been in it for 4 or 5 years, and it's growing substantially, I think, in my eyes, in my opinion. But
yeah. It's one of those things if you're like, hey, if you're in it, like in it to win it for 5 years,
mhm,
you could do this full time.
yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
reality. There's no faster growing small business than content creators right now. And yeah,
Hmm.
it's a grind and it's
It is a
work.
grind. Yeah.
Um, but hey, if it, I feel like I'm doing it, you feel like you're doing it, we are doing it, and it is so incredibly exciting to be a
Yep.
part of. So
I don't even think it's work. I tell my wife all the time. It's like the fishing part. I can go out and spend all day on the water, and I will go do it the next day, and I'll go do it the next day, and I'll go do it. I'll run myself dry, like just like physically beat down because I just can't get enough of it. And it's like sometimes I gotta take a break. I'm like, all right, you gotta chill because I'll be like dehydrated or something, or like for example, right now I gotta drink something. But
I don't eat. It's like, should I fish through lunch and starve myself and be really hungry for dinner? Yeah, that sounds like a really wise choice, Darren. Let's do that. I do that all the time. It's stupid. I got some questions here.
yeah.
Carolina bass hunter. This is when we were talking about when you threw up that chunky girl. Was it on the trace? 6 cents trace, right?
What, that bass?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one I caught today. Yeah, I've
Okay.
probably put, no exaggeration, 50 plus fish on that trace on the bank already, or in my
Oh,
kayak
this
since,
year.
yeah, already, at least, probably
Wow.
more, to be honest.
Wow. All
It's
right.
unreal.
Yeah, I saw another smallmouth chunk that you got recently, 5
Hmm.
pounder. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not going to go there
Right.
yet. Got a couple other things. Carolina bass hunter said I got fifth on Team Creek last night. He's talking about the Knucklehead Challenge.
Oh
Congrats,
yeah.
CBH. He lost his big. Oh, the bummer. Could have got second, third, or even first.
I
He
You know
signed up
what's
for this month
crazy
too.
is I've signed up. I registered through Fishing Chaos.
Yep.
I got my KBF membership. I did everything, and I might have to join your team and get
Oh,
on it for the month
come
of
on
May.
now. Come
I
on
might have to
now.
get on. How many people are signed up for the month of May on your team?
34 right now.
34.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. There's Low
So
Life Angler. There he is.
there he is, my man. Love that guy. All right, let me see here. Kyle Turner's like, "Hey, I'm taking I'm I'm taking mine to work tomorrow. Heading out the lake as soon as he clocks out, my man. Low life
Yes.
Friday. He's ready.
Wow,
Weather's
nice.
looking good in Ohio, folks. If
Yes.
you're from Ohio, Steve, yes. Tell everyone where you're from because I guess I know, but you really haven't said it yet outside of Hocking
Uh,
Hills. But give a
yeah,
general
so yeah,
vicinity.
so I live in Southeast Ohio in the Hocking Hills area. I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, just south of Dayton, the Miamisburg area. Grew up Miamisburg, Middletown. I really cut my teeth on the Great Miami River,
Mm,
so that's obviously, pretty famous river in Ohio as far as like smallmouth fisheries are concerned. So yeah, I grew up on the Dayton area, all the creeks, all the little feeder creeks and tributaries in Southwest Ohio. And then once I came back from the Navy, I moved to Southeast to go to school. Enjoyed it, stayed here, and I'm here currently. So
all right. Amy Richards, let's go. I'm an OU grad.
hey, Amy, me too. I got my bachelor's in outdoor education recreation. So
Oh, there we go. So this is like what you have dreamed of doing for a long time now.
I guess yes, absolutely.
Mind right line tight outdoors, sneaking in before be able sneaking in before able to clock out. Shh, hope your boss isn't watching.
We won't
All
tell
right,
nobody.
let's keep on moving on here. Oh man, I'm good. It's kind of hard to like interview and kind of like manage all the comments, but
Yeah.
trying to do my best here. All right, so let's hop in a little bit to some meat here. I'm going to show a photo. I know for those of you on the podcast, you're like, I can't see this. So Brian, explain kind of what happened. This is
Oh, so
a
that's
monster Smalley.
yeah, it's a big smallmouth I caught in the Hocking River just a few days ago, actually, right before this rain that we got. Um, Fishing a little waterfall area on the Hocking. Uh, is Amy still in here? Was Amy the OU grad? She's probably
Yeah.
familiar. There's a little stretch of the Hocking River that goes through OU campus, and that's where I caught it there, and it was unreal. I'm gonna put that little short video because I got that video on camera. I got that action on camera. I threw it in this little waterfall, and all you see is this giant black shape come out of nowhere and just crush it right off the surface of the water. It was unreal. But yeah, that lure's been insane for me.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of on the comments. What part he just shared it. Thanks for sharing that. Amy says, "Oh yeah, that's awesome." So, man, so you got your kayak. Tell me a little bit about that. What's your river yak look like? You just got it a year ago. Why did it take you so long to get a kayak?
I was being stubborn, to be honest with you. I think I was being too stubborn. I was like, you know what? If I can't hit it from the bank, I don't even want to fish it. Well, I got a little Pelican 100 Angler X or something from Dunham's
Oh
one
yeah.
night. I just spur of the moment. I was just like, I was going to do this. I threw it on the Hocking River, went on like a 7 mile float, and I was like, this is it. This is where I need to be. I need to be in a plastic boat on a river or in the creek. So the following few months, I went and got a Old Town PDL 106,
Oh,
the pedal drive, and
okay.
that has changed my fishing dramatically. Um, Being able to move and fish at the same time. I have a wizard anchor on as well on the bow, so when I'm fishing current, I can drop my anchor and point upstream and fish my presentations downstream.
Okay.
Um, and so and I'm waiting on. I have the Gray Ghost limited edition on its way, so I'm
Oh,
waiting for that one.
yeah. Look at
It's the
you. You're getting
100.
you're now collecting kayaks at this point. You got 3
Actually,
now?
I'm going to. No, I sold my Pelican to one of my buddies. And then I'm going to sell this PDL I have now for super cheap to one of my buddies so that he can have a pedal drive. And I'm going to get it's just a different color
Yeah.
PDL 106. It's just anniversary edition or something.
Note to self, everybody. If you
Hey,
want a cheap kayak, be Brian's friend because
hey,
apparently
the
he said,
person I'm selling it to is Bookman Bassin.
"Oh, is
And
he?"
a quick fact about Bookman Bassin tonight is I hooked that fish in a spillway and I was about 20 feet off the water. He drove from his house to the spillway within like 8 minutes, went down in the spillway and landed my fish while I was holding it. And it barely was skin hooked, that big bass that I showed you earlier. He went down there and got
He
it in the
caught the
spillway for
same
me.
one?
No, he went down there and got it for me. I was up on a
Oh,
wall and he went down
oh.
into the spillway and got it for me.
No, that's a good
Wanna-
friend.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to land it if it wasn't for Israel. So shout out to you, Israel.
You know what? That name sounds familiar. I think I actually liked his page today.
Yep. He's
He was
got a
like
cool
connected to you
Instagram.
somehow. I was like,
He's
all
got a
right,
YouTube video and everything. Yeah.
I
He
love it.
helped me land that bass tonight, so appreciate it, bub.
Oh, love it, love it. So kayaks, you're moving, you're shaking, you're getting new ones. Now, most people don't go pedal kayak on a river, right? Because they're afraid of just destroying what's underneath it. So these rivers must have some pretty good depth to them in any given size.
To be honest, I will latch my PDL and just to the first setting on the locking mechanism. There's like 3 like
Okay.
clicks, and if
Shallow.
you just do the one, and if it hits something hard enough, it'll just kind of pop up instead of
Yep.
like really damage anything. But yeah, just and if you come upon a riffle, usually I'm fishing clear water anyway, so I can see shallow water coming, and I'll just lift it up and lock it into place. Um, but I also bought the insert for the pedal drive. So if I want to do a super shallow float, I will take the pedal drive off completely and just put the insert in there and lock it into place. And then I just have a regular paddle kayak instead of a pedal.
There you go. That makes sense to me. I was actually fishing some of your waters just this past week. Paul from Cincy Fish Dudes, took me to some of the tributaries of the Great Miami River, and so I'm watching. I mean, I'm literally fishing places I know that you
Oh
have.
yeah, I guarantee you did.
He showed me, he's like, "Hey, check this out." And he showed a tournament you guys were in. You beat him by like a quarter inch or something, or a half inch or something like that. So just know that got to him, and he still can't sleep at night.
Yes. Hey, and I want to thank him because I believe he supplied the third place package, and it was like he hooked me up with like a $50 gift card to Cabela's. I was like, yes.
Oh,
I
nice.
want to say Paul did sponsor that one. So that was even cooler that not only I beat him by a quarter inch, he also gave me some money.
Oh, he's a good dude. You guys fish together
Yeah.
at all, or just kind of against each other with your Wade tournaments?
You know what? They're from Southwest Ohio, pretty far away. So
Yeah.
I don't really connect with a lot of anglers, to be honest with you, unless you're here in Southeast Ohio and I'm dunking and dipping around here for the weekend. But typically, I'm just a lone wolf when it comes to fishing. I don't know. I like to be alone for the most part. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's a therapeutic session for me. Um, Sometimes I like to get involved and have a couple people, but I feel like my focus is off if I'm not completely alone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I get it. You're usually, if you're with someone, usually teaching or being taught, and you
Mhm.
can't just solely focus on, taking in everything you
Right.
should be taking in to
You can't
find them.
be completely observant to your surroundings and the environment if you got a few people with you. In my case, it's not like that for everyone, but that's just how I am, man. I like to go at it alone for the most part.
All right. Hey, let us know in the comments if you're listening in. Are you a lone wolf, or do you prefer fishing with others? Let me know. I'm really curious to kind of see those. Yep, got a couple lone wolves right here. Same mostly. Like it. Like it. Like it. All right. Keep on. Greg's like, I get the alone thing. Bookman Basson. Me too. Solo. Apparently everybody likes fishing. One person is like, hey, I like fishing with others.
It's
Um,
always cool to have friends, especially, taking pics of each other's fish and everything, but yeah, for the most part I'm alone, and you also have to keep in mind in the back of your head, when you are fishing alone, you have to be extremely cautious, extremely safe. So I would never go into like a rising river or a flooded river or a super muddy, murky river by
mm,
myself. That's just, you have to set parameters for yourself just for safety precautions.
um, Oh, 100%. My chaotic. He's on the show here coming up, folks. Lone Wolf, Mind Right, Loner,
Looks like
yeah,
most folks like to do it alone. Utah, how you doing,
50/50.
Utah? That's one of my buddies.
All right. I love it. Um, it's interesting. I usually fish alone. And recently I fished with my dad because he's doing the knucklehead. I took my wife out for the first time ever. She has never kayak fished, never caught a bass in her life. And so she caught her first bass and subsequently her personal best. My brother got his personal best. I went out with recently with Cincy Fish Dudes, and then Bowfin Junkie came down from Cleveland. So I've been done nothing but fish with others, and it definitely has its place. I,
Yeah,
I enjoyed it more than I thought. I still really enjoy going out solo And usually when I'm going up solo, it's like, okay, I need to focus. I got a 1 month tournament. I need to put some fish on the board. So um, here's some more here. Here's the interesting. I prefer with someone when on a yak. So really quick, you were mentioning, wouldn't go out alone on particular rivers that you're kind of new to and murky. Have you ever had any close calls? Like, is there rationale behind that, or you're just more out of abundance of caution, be
It's
smart
just
out there?
being an abundance of caution, but also I've had situations like I was fishing the Susquehanna event for the Hobie BOS last year,
Mm,
and I was on a tributary to that river, and I was alone, and I did not see this like legit little waterfall coming. Even though I came upstream, coming back downstream, I couldn't like visually see where it was at. And I kind of just like went sideways and my kayak was taking on water. And I don't know how I did not flip or anything, but I was able to kind of like lean into the current and kind of like shake my kayak down it. Um, but I got out of there without, taking any damage or anything like that. And I was like, all right, that was the first situation where it's like, all right, you have to be a little more cautious, especially when you're by yourself out there because there was nobody with me.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. All right, real quick, in Ohio, I was actually walking this tributary of the Great Miami, and I've had creek fishing adventures on. I know you guys know each other, and probably
Hmm.
even I think you actually fished with one another. And down in Tennessee, they have certain rules and laws around where and how you can fish creeks, how you enter. Are
Really?
you on
Okay.
public property? Are you not? What are the rules? And because I know they differ from state to state, what are the rules and regulations for creek fishing in Ohio?
So as long as you launch from public lands, as long as you do not step foot on private property, you can travel navigable waterways, and that includes portaging over any kind of debris or super shallow riffles or anything like that. So as long as you are on a navigable waterway in Ohio, you can travel to public land to another part of public land and take out. Um, Fortunately, in Ohio, we have amazing organizations and agencies that create kayak accesses,
Mhm.
that own little parcels here and there along the river that you can put in and then float a stretch that mostly is private. But since you're on navigable water, you're allowed to fish these. You're allowed to navigate through these waterways and go to the next kayak launch.
Okay, so that's if you're floating. Are there
Yeah,
different
floating.
rules if you're walking?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. If you're walking, you cannot set foot on private property unless you have permission from the landowner. I have an Onyx app on my
Yep,
phone.
yep.
Some of you might be familiar with it, but it shows parcels along a river or wherever you're hunting or fishing. You can click on a parcel; it'll say, "Oh, this is public land," or "Hey, this is private land owned by this person," and you can try to search them out and get permission.
So if you are walking in the creek or part of that river and it butts up against private land, you technically can't be walking on the bottom of that river because you're on private property.
Yeah. So private property is the land under the water, and that's what most people get confused, I believe.
Yep.
Um, so if someone owns private property on each side of that river and you get out and you're not navigating over or portaging over a timber fall down or something like that, and you're just kind of hanging out on someone's property, that's private property. So
Yeah.
they own the land under the water.
I don't think it's like that everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I wish it wasn't.
Yeah,
I
right?
think out west in Montana or something like up to the high water mark is all public land. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I wish it was like that here.
That would be nice. So,
Because
different
technically,
rules
I can be like the GMR float. It floats like 30 feet up, so I got all this space to work around.
everywhere. You can go everywhere. Ugh. So, different rules. So, keep in mind out there if you're getting into
Yep.
kind of wade fishing and creek fishing, um, just know where you're at, get permission where you can,
Know
if you
where you're
can.
at and find out your agencies and organizations, your nonprofits that are
Mm,
creating access. Your
mhm.
conservancy districts, your conservancies, like we have the Hocking River Commission here that has created nonprofit that has created little access points all along the river for people to get in. Yeah, just be familiar with the organizations that are dedicating a lot of time and resources to folks getting access to the natural resources.
Yeah. For sure. On X, I need to grab that. I asked Alex Red what are some apps on his phone. He was like, On X is one of them. And since we're talking about that, what are the fishing apps that you have on your phone to help you do what you do?
Let's pull it up here. I have just a couple. I have the obviously I have Onyx. I have the Navionics boating app.
Yep, yep.
So I can bring that up and look at any kind of data on any lakes. I think it's a few bucks a month or something like that. I also have the River app, which is super important. This is
Okay.
probably one of the most important apps. Um, I don't know. I have a list of rivers and creeks. I probably shouldn't show those, but so for example, I'll just show the Great Miami River and it'll show you the water levels.
Okay.
And then if you click on a certain area, it'll also show you the depth in feet. So
Oh,
you can
nice.
see you can see this range that we just got just crushed the river down there. It went up it only went up about a half a foot, but it's already up high enough as it is, so it's just getting high. And you can use that app and you can look up your river or creek here in Ohio and go to it and kind of get a good idea if it's raging or you need to stay home and not waste your gas and just fish local or
Yeah,
invest time and go somewhere else.
makes sense. Makes sense. And what's that called? It's called the River app or River app?
It's just called River app,
All right.
River app.
Solid. Smart.
Yep.
So, hey, everybody, if you're listening in, let me know what apps do you have on your phone if they are different than the creek crawlers. I'd love to hear which ones you guys got and kind of what they do. Um,
Steve's right. USGS will do that too.
there you go. All right. Well, let's hop into some tactical talk. So you're heading out. Let's say you're heading out in your kayak or getting ready to wade fish
hmm
up a tributary or on the bank fish, the hocking. What do you have hooked up right now?
So if I'm going to bank fish the hocking, I'm torn nowadays. It used to be 100%. I'm grabbing a Helgramite or a leech. But
Okay.
with the way this swim bait has been producing for me, and even in some of the smallest creeks I've fished in so far, sometimes I'll just take this. I'll take one rod. First off, if you ever go on a wade trip or something, just take one rod.
Mm,
Carrying multiple rods is such a pain. And the cool thing about wade fishing, and you want to be light, you want to be fast, and you want to be effective. You want to hit a spot for 20 minutes and then go to the next spot. But obviously, we've been talking about it already, but that's the little 5-inch jointed swim bait by 6 cents. It's a trace and bone pearl. And I just have it on a utility player. This is the utility player Daiwa Steez.
mhm.
It's a 7.3 medium heavy. Pretty much. And the cool thing, what I typically do is I grab a rod that I can fish multiple presentations with effectively. So this is the utility player, and I also have the Daiwa Kages that's called the all around rod, and you can fish the bigger Helgramites, you can fish crawls. Um, but I'll either have that swim bait tied on, I have the
Oh
Nico
yeah.
crawl here on the rugby jig head or the Helgramite as well. Those will probably be my three options right now. I have the
Okay.
leech and the swim bait. Like both of those rods will be in my car, and if I decide to hit one, I'll just grab one.
So you're obviously good at finding fish. It's obvious through the photos that you're posting up. So walk me through kind of your mindset, right? There's so many synapses of our brain that takes place. I was just thinking about it when I was out with Cincy Fish Dudes, and I'm looking at everything that could be looked at in a river, and there's a lot of different structure, a lot of
hmm
different cover, um, and fish are in some places, and more so high percentage areas, and then there's low percentage areas.
Right.
So you've done this a lot, and you picked up the big ends, right? Everyone's looking for them. A lot of times, some people are just looking for fish in general. How do you break down what you break down in your brain?
So if I'm looking at a creek or a river, um, I'm looking at, I'm studying the hydrology of that body of water. I want to become a student of how the water moves. Once you become a student of how the water moves, which is their environment, you become very excellent at determining where these fish will be in these bodies of water.
Mm,
So you pick up on current seams, you pick up on slack eddies, you pick up on a large boulder that's in the middle of the river, but the top of the boulder is about 4 inches underwater, and you see a little swirl behind it, and you're like, okay, there's a structure there. You start picking up on these little nuances and these characteristics, and it becomes a knowledge that is transferable to most moving water situations, creeks, rivers, what have you. Um, I think that's what's led to a lot of my success is observation of my quarry. So like when you're fishing creeks, one thing I love about fishing like shallow, clear water systems is I will sit there and watch a fish, um, watch how they navigate their environment,
Mm,
and then when I go to a bigger river, say that doesn't have that water clarity, I'll be like, well, this fish in the moving water, he does this, this, and that. And then I'll start putting that equation on the bigger river. Like, okay, there's a boulder, there's a current seam, there's an eddy back here. I'm going to hit 1, 2, 3 casts. More than likely, you're going to get bit once you put these puzzles together. Um, yeah, just be a student of the environment and be a student of their prey species as well. I think a lot of people they see the crawls, they see the minnows. Be familiar with exactly what species they're feeding on. Are they eating sculpins? Are they eating darters? Are they eating rainbow darters that are bright orange and yellow and have all these fancy colors when they're spawning?
mm.
Um, yeah, just be a student of the environment, and I think the fish catching comes with that. To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I saw one of your videos. You're like, there's like, you know, a lot of times on bridges, all this timber just gets jacked up
Yes.
against it,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, there's a high percentage area pop, zoom, zzz,
Yep.
tearing your line away. Um, typically it's always, you're looking for structure and cover, but geek out a little bit more. I would imagine not everyone fishes rivers and creeks and streams. So you
Hmm.
made mention some seams, eddies, like for
Yeah.
someone who's like, hey, you know what? I would be really into doing this, but
Right.
you just spoke a different language.
Right. So some basics about just river hydrology and how the water moves. So a current seam is where you have a fast moving current coming down and an object. It's hitting an object and going around it. And that creates not only it creates an eddy behind the object, but it creates a current seam down the side. And those fish like to set up behind those objects. And they're just basically sitting there, and the ecosystem is like a 24/7 conveyor belt of food and resources. So they'll just sit there, something will come tumbling by. They don't have to use a lot of energy to go out and grab prey. And that's the big thing. A lot of people need to realize is these fish don't want to spend too much energy to catch prey, especially in the summer.
Mm.
Right now, they're just kind of going crazy. They have all this pent up anger, like I do, because I'm sitting inside during the winter and I can't fish. But they have they have all this energy stored up, and they're just exploding on a lot of stuff right now. But yeah, just I don't know how. So I talked a little bit about the current seams, and the eddies are just like a slow moving swirl. You'll see these if you get up and watch your river from like a high vantage point. You could start to see these different characteristics and how they set up. And once you figure out that picture, you can take that information basically anywhere. But another thing I like to look out for when I'm out on the river is watching the wildlife. So watch for those species of birds that actually prey on fish and prey on the same items that your smallmouth are going after or your largemouth are going after. You'll see you'll see the cranes set up in certain areas. They're obviously there for a reason.
Mm.
So keep that in the back of your head, and maybe one morning you're going to show up. That crane's going to be there. That blue heron's going to be there. I said crane. The blue heron's going to be there. Um, he's going to be there with you fishing. And I've caught so many fish right 12 inches from a blue heron's face. Like
Really?
he's catching shad. I'm catching the smallmouth that are trying to eat the shad. It's just a great time. Once you figure out where the great blue herons go, follow the great blue herons. Watch where the kingfishers are going. The
Mm.
kingfishers are looking for little minnows, little bait fish. Use their bird's eye view of the river to your advantage, you know?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Love it. Love it, love it. All right, I got a question here. Let me head back up to it. Oh, here we go. Cooler lid. If you're coming in halfway through the show, which we are over halfway. I told you it goes fast, Brian. It's already at 40 minutes, right? The guest tonight is Brian Slayton, the creek crawler. He loves kayak fishing, creeks, rivers, and if you head over to his Instagram, he's pretty darn good at it. So go check him out. But thanks for being on the show, Brian. So let's head on to
Yeah,
another
yeah.
question for you. So you mentioned the trace, which seems to be your go-to right now for
Yes.
some for the big uns. You have
Yes.
your Helgramite, which seems to be what you've done for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, and what else did you say?
I've done really good with the Nico crawls as well.
Okay.
Just a little crawl
Yep.
presentation.
That's a pretty stout football jig. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's a
heavy.
I throw this on casting gear. So this is a 1/4 ounce head, and I basically just fish it. It's basically a skirtless jig. Um, I've had a ton of success with this presentation, and I've also been pairing this hook up with our big Helgramites that we just came out with, the 4 1/4 inchers. Hey, how's it
Okay.
going, Brian? But
That's a big one.
yeah, we got the big Helgramites out now, and I'm super stoked. I've been catching a lot of fish on those as well.
Brian,
Uh,
thank you so much for posting up
yeah,
some cash. Appreciate that.
yeah, appreciate it.
Every bit goes a long way. Let me see, we're here. So you shared with us what you have rigged up now. So at the end of May, right? You got June, you're starting to head into the heat of the summer. You've already kind of alluded that kind of bass change their smallies and largies kind of change their tune. How do you target smallies, particularly during the summer?
Yeah. So I think the most important parts of the day in the summer are the first hour of sunlight and the last hour of sunlight. So sunlight and sunset. So that first hour, I'll throw a topwater walking bait. Let's see if I got one here. I'll throw a topwater walking bait, just a shad color.
Yeah.
This is a 6 cents Dogma walking bait. I love to throw that. That first hour of daylight is super, super crucial, um, because you'll have that first hour that it's like bam, 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 bam. As soon as that sun comes up, it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Now those fish have kind of receded, and that's when I tie on the crawl, the Helgramite, the leech, and
Okay.
that's when you start picking apart like structure that's in kind of deeper water. You're looking for those laydowns and fishing super slow. I think what I've come to the realization, is I fish summertime midday like I would fish in wintertime,
Mm,
and that is super slow, super finessey. I'll drop my leader down to like 8 pounds. I'll put the little VMC rugby heads. They come in like a and 1/8 ounce. I'll put that on there, and it's got a stout hook too. And I'll start pitching cover and just kind of let it sit there. I'll just hold my rod, let the current sit there and work my bait for me, and don't do too much. That's the thing I think a lot of
mm,
people make a mistake of fishing the hottest day of summer is they're trying to move too much. This fish are, they're just kind of chilling. They've had their fill, they've had their giant breakfast, and they've just filled up on all this bait fish. They're kind of just chilling, and you just let that Helger might kind of drift by their face or something like that. They'll go over there and just pick it up, and you'll see your line move, and all of a sudden it just starts going out to deeper water, and that's when you start getting into a lot of fun. But I think the first hour of the morning, top water, buzz bait, walking bait, however you prefer to tackle that situation. And then once that sun comes up, I start getting really finessey and very, very like sneaky in my approach. Casting distance is key. Standing up in my kayak about 40 feet away from the structure I'm trying to target, and
mhm.
just kind of drift those baits into where those smallies are hiding during the heat of the day.
Here's a question from Lit. By the way, thank you for that. Give some direction. I was actually fishing with Paul, and I know it wasn't the heat of the summer. This was like last week, but we're both fishing the Cascade Nub, which is just a Ned rig kind of setup.
Hmm.
And I work mine a lot, just kind of by habit and
Right.
confidence. He threw it out and just like started to have a conversation with me. I was like, Paul, you gonna do anything with that Ned rig? And boom, it just hits. I was like, "Oh, I guess not. I learned something
Yep.
new today."
Right.
It just let it sit there. I mean, just
Yeah.
it's moving down there. You don't
Yeah.
realize
A
it's
lot of,
actually a lot of
yeah,
movement down there. If you had an underwater camera,
absolutely.
you'd be able to see it.
And I do that too. I'll film underwater videos, I'll put a bait underwater the slightest current, especially, any kind of floating plastic or anything like that, when it's sitting up straight like this in the water, it's constantly doing this. Look. And those smallmouth come up there, and if you're sitting there like trying to jerk it away, it's like, whatever. I'll just leave it be. You just let it sit there. They'll come up there. They'll get closer. They'll get closer. I've watched it. They'll get closer, and it's just like right there on their nose, and they just slowly suck it up and then go back to their little hole, And it's just like you got to be super patient. It's just like fishing in the wintertime, I think.
Yeah, which you've done, which I've seen. I'm looking at some of
Yep.
your photos of smallies, and there's like snow in the background.
Yeah.
So, how are you targeting them? I mean, obviously you just shared a little bit, but is there something else you do? Like, what's your go-to? I saw you had a
What, in the
Helgi in your
wintertime?
video. Yeah, in the winter.
Um, the same thing. The
Got it.
same thing in the summertime. I'm throwing in one of the deepest holes I can find in the creek. Um, and that's the cool thing about clear water is if you don't see them in 2 or 3 feet of water, you can be like, okay, well, obviously they're all over here in this 4.5 foot section where I can't quite see the bottom, but there's no other place they're going to be. So the cool thing is you can just throw your Helgramite in there, and I would literally have my rod in my hands for 45, 50 seconds. And I'll just sit there with my line tight to my Helgramite and just see it pop up and just start going. It's like, okay, that's how
Okay.
it's going to be in the wintertime. So super slow, be super patient. Grab your phone out, go check Kayak Fishing Obsessed. Watch some videos while you're sitting there with your Helgramite or your Ned rig or whatever. Seriously, I'm being dead serious when I say that. Like, be slow, be patient, and just enjoy being uncomfortable, I guess.
It is uncomfortable because
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who, one, is patient. We all want it, and we all want it now. Um, and so sitting there for 45 seconds. But if your
Yeah.
bite's tough, you gotta try different things instead of just doing
Right.
the same thing over and over again. And so, little tip there that might grab you some fish on a day that'd be a tough bite. All right, guys. So, if you have a question for Creek Crawler, please throw that up. We're coming up to the last like 13 minutes of our time and there was a question I missed up here a little bit. Basically, what temperature do you start throwing topwater from Lost and Tackle?
What temperature? Like temperature outside the
I
water
think of
temp,
the
I'm
water.
assuming?
I think he's talking water temp.
I would say 60 degrees.
Okay. So
High 50s, because I mean, I was catching fish with that trace literally burning it on top of the surface in a creek right by my house, and they were coming up just crushing it. So, high 50s, 60s, you're getting into some really good topwater action. They're coming up shallow, they're chasing bait fish, getting ready to spawn, and they're putting on the feedback. So I think topwater at around 60 degrees is perfect. High
which
50s.
for you is just coming up, right?
Yeah, like it's right now. Like
Yeah,
it's
right.
right now.
You're
Yeah.
just peaking into the high 50s right
Yep.
now.
High
All right.
50s, low 60s. Yep.
Love it. I got a question from Scott Hanneman. What color Helgramite? Do you have one with you?
Hey Scott. Actually I have a couple of my favorites. Um I'm
What do
a
you got in
big
the table
fan.
that we can't see?
Oh, I got
Show us
some
everything.
well, I was going to give some stuff away to some folks. So,
Ooh, now we're
I got
talking.
I got the big Helgramites, the mud bugs.
Oh, heck
I
yeah.
love this color. It's like a green pumpkin with like little gold dust and green flakes in it. It's a really cool color. I love the mud bug. I was also going to give away the obsidian ones. They're just a straight black, 4.25 inches, an awesome, awesome bait. I'm super stoked. We just came out with these a couple months ago, and I was testing them out in November and crushing fish on them. I was like, okay, this is going to be the real deal. But yeah, I like obsidian. I like natural. A lot of
Yeah.
folks love June bug. We have some cool June bug colors coming down the pipeline for those. But absolutely, I like the natural colors, man. A lot of people, some folks like to use like these crazy chartreuse colors and everything like that. And if that's your confidence bait, that's the bait you need to fish with. That's my all-time great advice to anyone. Because what my experience is, it's subjective to what your experience is. Like I experience things differently. I have confidence in different things than you will have confidence in.
Mm,
So if you're a chartreuse guy, I'll say go buy a chartreuse Helgermite because that's the color in the back of your head. You have confidence in throwing, so you're probably going to catch more fish on it.
yeah. No, I hear you. I am in the same. I'm with you. Um, the waters I fish are fairly clear. typically you want to go natural colors. You will probably rarely, you'd be hard pressed to find in 500 videos that I got on YouTube right now, me
Whew.
fishing a non natural, like green pumpkin, red fleck,
Right.
something. You won't find me fishing a pink, a
Yeah.
yellow, a bright orange. You just won't. I don't know. And maybe just like you said, it's my confidence. But I've had people come up to me and be like, "Oh man, those bubblegum trick worms from Zoom are sick. I
Right.
can't keep the fish." I was like, "What are you talking about? I've tried them. Absolutely nothing."
Yeah.
Ugh, my goodness. All right, I got a question from William coming in here. What was the hardest part? This one's for you. What was the hardest part of fishing
Uh,
from a kayak to get used to, being that you recently kind of got into one?
you know what? The wind. The wind became my greatest enemy on planet Earth. I've never been so upset, especially when I had a paddle kayak, that little Pelican,
Oh,
and you'd get like 10-mile-an-hour winds and you're trying to either go upstream or downstream, or you're just trying to stay still and your paddle's in your lap and you're doing like circles like this and you can't stay still. But no, just I think setting the hook sitting down is a huge
yeah,
learning curve. I lost a lot of fish at first. I think I've kind of got it down pat now at this point with about a year and a half and change sitting in a plastic boat. But I think setting the hook was one of my greatest obstacles, I think.
yeah. No, 100% because I actually did a video on this, how to hook set from a kayak because it is different, folks. And if you haven't dialed that in, you will lose fish first getting into a kayak. Yeah,
Right.
it's
It's like a shoulder movement, as in if you're on the bank, it's a waist movement,
right.
like a bat swing. But when you're on and just sitting on your bum, you can't move your waist really, so you gotta kind of snap your shoulder back. Like I don't know how to explain it.
No, I hear you. Wind. And, I just did a video, 12 reasons kayak fishing sucks. For some reason, the YouTube algorithm gods has smiled upon me because that thing has kinda gone bonkers recently.
Nice,
But
nice.
people were just like, "Yes, wind, wind, yes, wind. I hate wind. Spinning like a top, wind, wind."
Yes.
Like, my goodness, I hear you. But you know what? When you have a pedal drive, because you went from paddle to pedal, that's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. The wind isn't my enemy as much, but still is. Um, Especially if you're like trying to like stay in a current seam or something like that, and the wind's like pushing from the back and your kayak's like whipping out from behind you. Now the current's pushing you out of your spot. So boat positioning is another obstacle. Boat positioning is super important.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Bucktail, got a question for you. Have you ever tried a drop shot in the current? Thought about trying that with the Helgramites, or I think it's supposed to be or leeches.
Yep. So here's the thing. I'm a finesse angler. I have been my whole life until recently. Obviously, I've been throwing bigger baits and stuff like that, but I'm not a big drop shot fan. I don't fish a drop shot, and it's shameful. I know. I need to pick up the drop shot and learn how to fish it. But the Helgramite, it's a floating plastic, so it'll stay up in that water column and kind of just float there. Our leeches are known for their ability to be fished on the drop shot, and also Nico has a tadpole, and this is kind of like a great, like a Lake Erie secret. Uh, the Nico tadpoles are one of the most excellent. I don't have, you know what? I do have one on me. Hold on one second.
Oh, no problem.
I think I do have one on me.
Cooler lid. That's why I bought the autopilot with spot
Yes.
lock. Right on. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I was reading comments. I didn't know
Yes.
how
No,
far.
no,
I
no,
don't know
you're
how long
good.
you're going to be away.
I didn't think I was gonna have them, but they're in my. I brought my bag in here, but this is the Nico tadpole. Check this out.
Oh, chill out. For those on the podcast, this looks like a little frog with tiny little legs and like a
Yep.
beaver type tail thing. Oh, there we go.
Super durable. This thing will last you literally all day. But just a little creature bait. This thing crushes. Obviously, I haven't caught fish with them on a drop shot because I don't fish the drop shot. But
Right.
a lot of people that do drop shot use our little tadpoles like this and absolutely hammer smallmouth bass on this. But that's another cool little presentation that you have from Nico right there. That's
Now you
cool.
keep on saying we. Talk about that a little bit because it's like, um, Who you connected with?
I've been with Nico for a few years now. I started using their Helgermite, watching Creek Fishing Adventures.
Oh
It was
yeah,
like
oh
3
yeah.
years ago. I tied on the Helgermite. I've kind of like never turned back from the Helgermite as like my go-to creek and river presentation. Like it's put so many fish in my hands, like it's unreal how much fish it's put in my hands. But I'm a pro staff on their team. I do the whole code thing and everything. But I've teamed up with Vance Outdoors here in Ohio. I don't know if you're familiar with Vance Outdoors.
Only from looking at your channel today.
Okay, yeah. So I've brought Nico to Ohio. I brought Nico to Ohio through Vance Outdoors. So Vance Outdoors has most of the Nico lineup in their shops now in Lebanon, Hebron, and Obetz. They have a bunch of Nico selections for y'all. Paired up, I teamed up with Nico, teamed up with Vance Outdoors later on in my YouTube journey here, and it's been an excellent, excellent relationship.
Nice. Um, Bass Ackward says, "Can you Texas rig it?" I'm assuming no. It looks
Texas
a bit
rig, what
small. I'm.
the
I think the
the tadpole?
context was our tadpole. Looks a bit small, but
Oh
I could be wrong.
no, it's super small.
Yeah.
It's only 2.9 inches.
There you go.
But a lot of people use the have if you've seen the little Z-Man micro finesse, I think they're little jig heads, they're little micro finesse jig
Oh yeah.
heads. People have been pairing it up because it's just look, that's my thumb. I mean,
Okay.
it's little creature doodad there. I put
Love
this
it.
actually on little finesse jigs, like if you have super little round head jigs, tiny jigs with a little bit of skirt material. These make awesome little jig trailers because their tail will just sit there and float in the current like that.
Mm. Someone made a comment. I think it was Brian. Brian Fishing Adventures USA. I use Nico Hogermite and products on the lake and do very well. Now, quick story. I was fishing Cincinnati recently. Paul had to do some stuff with his kids. So, like I went back to where we were fishing this lake,
Oh,
and
nice.
there was I went back to the spot. And this guy, I just kind of met with him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know Paul." Paul's like the minor celebrity there in Cincinnati because he has like a localized fishing channel, which is pretty
Right.
rad. But cool dude. Go check him out, Cincy Fish Dudes, if you're in that
Yep.
area. But I was fishing with a guy, and he's like, I'm gonna throw in this Helgermite, and boom, he's just throwing it in lakes, and he's catching largemouths with them. So not just a smallie bait, definitely was. And we were on top of this tree, and we were just kind of dialing him in. We were just hand over
And that's
fist.
why I think these are going to come into play for the largemouth, and more specifically, like the 4 1/4 inch, the larger creature
Oh yeah.
presentation. Texas rig, those will be killer on a
So
Texas rig.
stick around, folks. We're going to be doing a giveaway right at the end here.
Right.
So stick around. We'll do that in a few more minutes. If you got any last minute questions for the creek crawler, please go ahead and throw those. I'm going to try to um, manage that in a bit. Steve, Paul can shred a guitar too. I know I was in his house and he was like, "Hey, check out my like studio." His whole basement's like, here's my
He's like,
bait
check me,
making
watch me
area.
riff, bro.
Yeah, this is like my studio where I do my music for my YouTube channels. This is where I make homemade. I was like, your whole basement's like the perfect man cave.
That's awesome. The fish cave.
Yeah. So Scott asked a question: is there a secret to getting the hook through the Nico plastics? I would imagine. Are they just shallow? Is that why
Yeah,
thin?
Scott, the reason it's a super durable plastic, all their plastics are super durable and super thick. It's a different plastic than your Z-Man soft plastic. It's a biodegradable, like surgical food grade plastic. It's literally some of the highest quality soft plastic that you can get on the market. And that's why it's why it's expensive. I ain't gonna lie, it's like a pack of Helgermites is $8. But those Helgermites are gonna last you 40,
Mm,
50, 60 fish, no problem. As long as you don't snag up, you're going to keep catching fish on them. But that's why I transitioned over to the EWG hooks, because I'll just do it right now and show you how quick it is. A lot of people try to thread a hook through the entire bait, super tough. EWG hook, just go through it just like that, bring it down, come through the body like this. There, it's rigged up,
E-rig,
ready to
baby.
go.
Love it.
That's why I've went with these EWGs, because I was threading just a normal, ball head jig through them and stuff like that for the first year. And I was like, man, my Hellgramite's all like wonky and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? Just give me an EWG, and I've really never turned back since.
Love it. Cooler Lid says, "Hey, I know you use owners as well. I love the owner
Yep.
underspins."
What's crazy is I have the little owners right here.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. All right, so let me see here. So it's kind of got one last question for you, then we'll do this giveaway. And the question is, what should we expect from you in 2023? I have noticed on your YouTube channel as I go through it, it is just fishing. You don't do like, here's my rod review, this is my kayak review. You're like straight up, there are 275 videos just of fishing.
Of fishing. And that's where I think I'm just going to stay that route.
Yeah.
I do a lot of how-to videos as well. I'll do a how-to video from here and there, how to fish. You know what? I need to do more of those because those are some of my best videos on my channel. I've
Mm.
done how to Sauger fish, how to catch Sauger in the Great Miami River, how to fish a rooster tail. Some of these are my most popular
Your number
videos.
one video.
Yeah, my number one video is how to fish a rooster tail, and it got super popular in 2020, 2021 when COVID came upon us, and everybody I guess went fishing and grabbed a rooster tail, and that's why I think that video went crazy. But yeah, it's I just fish. I fish, and what I like is I'm going to different places in Ohio so I can attract an audience of different areas of Ohio. And I want to show people not necessarily exactly where I'm fishing, but give a good general idea of the region so
Mm,
that anybody that could watch that video and be like, hey, he's fishing this tributary, he's fishing this river. I can adapt some of these things that I'm watching. Because if you just watch me, you can pick up a lot of my nuances, and I'll kind of talk people through where I'm casting, kind of how and why I'm casting in certain areas. And I
mhm.
think that's basically the what I'm trying to do on my channel. I don't do the this reel versus this reel kind of thing. I just go out and fish and hope people learn from it and enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. My chaotic fishing says, "What an eye-opening show for a guy that doesn't do a lot of river fishing like y'all have up north." He's down in Texas, I believe. We have feeder creeks and such around Dallas Fort Worth,
Is
but
he close
man,
to the Devil's River though?
ooh, my chaotic. Let us know. Devil's River, are you
I think
close?
it's called the Devil's River, but that river is like I've been watching some videos on it lately, and it's like a river we have here, but they're catching like 8 and 9 pound largemouth in it. I'm like,
Whoa, whoa.
okay.
That sounds like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds about right. I think Mad Chaotic is actually going to be on the show next week.
Oh,
Has
nice.
him coming on, so I'm pretty pumped about that. He's putting up some chunks as well, so I was like, man,
Thank
I
you,
gotta have this on.
Cooler Lid, AP 120.
Yeah, what do you say? Oh, there you go. Hey, I gotta check your channel out, brother. I'm in Wisconsin. It's still cold out. Um, he says about
10
10 hours
hours
away.
away. I forgot when it's in Texas, it could be
Yeah,
14 hours away.
it's like third. It's like, oh my goodness.
Goodness, this is probably closer to me.
All right, folks.
Cool.
Well, if you haven't done so yet, please help me
Caden.
out. Hit that like button, get some replay on this bad boy. Also, if you haven't done this, head over to the Creek Crawler on YouTube, smash that subscribe button, and also head him over to his Instagram, which if you just want to sit there and salivate over large fish, you can do that.
Hey,
But
it's not
hey,
always about large fish too. I post the little guys too. They
hey,
get
you
some
know
love on
what?
my channel.
But lately you haven't. So,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on lately, but I've been catching some really nice fish.
hey, and who knows? We might see you on the Knucklehead Bass Fishing Series coming up
Yeah,
here. Um,
absolutely. And what was the name of your team?
Team Wendell.
Team Wendell. Okay.
And for all you out there who are part of the Knucklehead Bass and on Team Wendell, anytime you see under team like Fishing with Gramps or Team Hoover, let them
Hmm.
know in the comments. Team Wendell's coming for you.
Yeah.
You gotta let's get some smack talking going. But hey
Shh.
guys,
Yep.
thank you so much, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Thank
No
you, my
problem.
man. Thanks for putting up some prizes for everyone. Um, this is gonna be a good year. Let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an excellent year. I want to let everyone know to be safe out there. You know, watch your surroundings, stay safe, go catch some big fish. Have a great year, great
All
season
right.
too.
You guys have a good one. See you next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m.
See ya.